This conference will now be recorded.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. Our dear kind Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight. Thank you for all the many blessed things you have given us. We pray for all the people overseas that's having flooding, and even in this country. Be with them. Protect the people with the wildfires. Help the firefighters to please get it under control and save people's homes and lives. Now, as we go into tonight's meeting, please guide us to do this in a godly manner, that we do the right decisions for the townspeople of Boonesborough. We ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
On your way back, home, George, please. Thank you. Okay, everyone have a chance to review the regular minutes for August the 8th and the workshop minutes for August 29th.
I wasn't here for the workshop. I can't. I did look, looks like the regular meeting was fine, but
I read them, but I didn't do my normal like reading Kim sometimes. But
Do you have a motion to accept the regular meeting and workshop meeting minutes?
I'll make the motion to accept the regular meeting and workshop meeting minutes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Abstained, motion carries. Treasurer's report.
okay. So at the end of August, in the general fund, we have a balance of $2,081,349.83. We do have a $4 discrepancy, and it's well noted here that there was a check that was written for $1245.52, but it was only cleared for $1241.52, and we're working on getting that resolved between Middletown Valley Bank and PNC. We did get other funds from our American Rescue grant money, and that did get moved over. I'll tell you more of that on the other report. And looking to see, there isn't anything of any other real significance. I forgot to know these out earlier, I'm sorry. Yeah, I've been more than the water fund, we have a balance of $970,722.66. Nothing really that much of unusual. There was a return check, which we're working on, and some other bank things, but nothing to really be worried about there. Sewer fund, we have a balance of $13,762.77. And we did do our July and August reimbursements. So that's probably why that balance is pretty low. We're trying to stay caught up on that. CDs. The general fund has a current balance of $2,669,282.75. And that is all of the CDs. Middletown Valley, the water fund was redeemed, and the Wells Fargo, the sewer fund was redeemed. So the general fund is what we have. Other accounts in our restricted funds, money market at Middletown Valley Bank, we have a balance of $2,159,2359. And we did just add some of the rescue funds in there that we just got, so that's what raised that. Payroll account's just a ZB account, there's nothing there. American Rescue Funds, separate account, $3,106,755.44. And the water fund has the user fee money market account at Middletown Valley for $174.35.75. And the sewer fund has a money market at Middletown Valley Bank for $84,000 7/22/60. That is everything, and I'll send that to you guys here in a couple of minutes.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
I'll make a motion.
Have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Anybody have any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Abstain?
I'm gonna abstain.
Okay.
They
They show the record of one abstention.
we are going to be starting some conversations about different CDs. Now the rates are starting to improve. We've sent out some requests for information, and we've reached out to Tyler also, trying to see if we can get him resolved down here to use a local
Yeah.
representative as well. But while we're sitting on some of this cash waiting to get these projects underway, we might as well make a couple of dollars so we'll get back to you on that.
Thank you, sir.
No, financials. We
Um,
haven't seen financials in
okay.
a while. We haven't seen any.
I'll send them to you. I got it.
Public comments. We have several people that signed in. We should please keep it 3 minutes. First person we have on, kitchen.
I'll let the other folks go first. So we
Okay.
like,
Sure. Tracy Carr. Please state your name and your address for the records when you come up, please. Even though we do know where you live, that's okay.
Hi, I'm Tracy Carr. I live at 4 Canoe Circle here in Boonesboro. I'm here about the circle. And I think as the mayor and council, you should be ashamed. In December of 2016, you voted and approved to put 2 flower beds in honor of my family. I've been through 2 Boy Scouts. I've been through numerous townspeople saying, oh, it's going to get done, it's going to get done. I've been through approving of a plaque, approving of a name. 6 years later, it's still not done. And you guys should just be ashamed. It's not what was approved. I don't know, I mean, I'm just really, really disappointed in all of you. And I guess the only other comment that I want to say, and this is not for publication, Kim. If something happens to my mother, who's not in great health, I can guarantee you that I will not be at any kind of a dedication, nor any of my family. And I think that about sums it up. Very, very disappointed.
On the 2 flower beds.
It's approved.
Yeah, there was.
Everything, the money was there, the approval was there,
Where did you want that?
Howard, we've been over all that.
Okay, good enough.
There are drawings, you have drawings, you have, you're talking, well,
September 7th, I got a hold of Greg Hunsberry and I sent him the drawing and asked him if he could get
you guys have the
some
info.
dirt and some mulch to fill it in there.
If you wait another 3 months, you'll be going into the 7th year. 7th year.
Yeah.
You can have a little bit of COVID leeway. I get that, I understand that. But sorry, folks. I voted for you guys.
Well, when-
Big, big disappointed.
You said this
You
was.
talk about heritage, you want historical Williamsboro. Well, you know what? The Summers family was historical. Canoe Circle, come on. My family owned the property.
So I apologize for.
Well, I don't want to hear it.
Okay, okay.
No,
well,
I'm just-
Listen to you, but I want to apologize because it shouldn't have been missed, but why did you wait? So, I mean, if I had an issue with somebody, I would speak to them about it before this amount of time.
I kept hearing it's gonna get done. It's gonna get done. We're doing this.
From who, Tracy? I mean, who?
Well, I mean, I had the Boy Scouts out. That was the first thing. And they were, it would be in the fall. Well, we can't do it for, another springtime. Springtime would come and go. And then, you'd hear, well, we put the boulders out where there wasn't supposed to be boulders. And then the next thing you know, there was another Boy Scout that was coming. It's an Eagle Scout. And it was, whoever it was gonna do the butterfly garden.
Okay.
I can take blame for my part, and maybe you're right, maybe I should have
Well, yeah.
spoken sooner. But come on, guys, it was just last summer when we have this plaque, and what do you want on it? And here, approve this, and it's like, okay, it's gonna, So in all of that, it's gonna get done. Like I said, you can have COVID, and I can agree with that, but now,
COVID doesn't even come into play. That was before COVID. So I don't.
no, but I mean, for it, because if you look at when I think of the timeline in the Boy Scouts and
Yeah.
trying to get it done.
Well, your complaint is well spoken and we'll do something about
I guess I'm gonna say, well, I guess we'll see.
it. Well, it will. I mean, it's ridiculous. I don't know where I dropped to find out.
Well, 2016 apparently is when it got,
Well, yeah.
when it got through.
Well, let's see, I think it was in May of 17 when it came back around and the whole, well, what are we gonna call it? What are we this, what are we that? But it was all approved. Money was there. And now we have trees on, I mean, it's just not, it's not what was planned, doesn't look right, it's just a big disappointment, that's all I can say.
Give me 30 days.
The trees are what was.
Okay? Give me 30 days, we'll figure something out.
No, sir,
Yes.
No, there weren't trees there.
no.
Absolutely.
Yes, there were.
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah,
Now,
because,
you're looking at the preliminary. You
Wait a
look at the
second.
top.
There was to be,
Okay, you have another one?
Mom, you asked what my mother wanted.
You guys have.
She
another one?
wanted a pink dogwood and a white dogwood on either side of the bed on both ends. The reason that this all started was because of people running through the circle.
exactly.
When the
It came.
post came down, or whatever. And that's what got the whole thing started.
I remember all that. I remember also asking about the trees being planted because we didn't want to plant them where the lines were.
From my understanding, trees were always planted.
But
And
there's
then,
another,
if you guys recall, we even, this was probably 2 or 3 years ago. We actually went down there with Greg and the council was informed because we had to identify where the utility
Right.
Pipes were,
right,
because we didn't want to plant trees
That
on
is
top.
all on the original thing. All you have to do is look at
I'm just saying that trees were part of the plan.
it. No, they weren't.
Not those.
No,
well,
No.
obviously this changed and it's been, I gave you 30 days, we're gonna do something good, so how's that?
If I'm saying 30 days.
I guess we'll see. That's, all you have to do is the stuff.
I'm sorry, but
Sorry.
I said, you live in the circle, you haven't even brought it up. I haven't heard about this.
Well, it was I kind of took the lead after
The
in
complaint.
late August, I kind of took the lead on it.
Okay,
And
that was way too long.
I went out and cleaned the trees up. The trees have been in there for roughly 3 years, I believe, some of them are. And the bands that were holding the trees up, they were wrapped so tight that the tree actually started forming around the bands. So I cleaned that up. Then I got a hold of Greg. September 7th, and asked him if he'd come over. And I asked him if, shot him what the original drawings were, and asked him if he could get some dirt for us, put in the corners, maybe some mulch to put on top of before we put any bushes in there, and maybe if they have any of the landscaping type rocks. And he said that he has all that stuff, just give him a few weeks and he'd get back with me on it. Somewhere.
Sorry.
So Tracy, in 2016, was there a picture drawn up of what?
Yes.
I don't know anything about it.
I'm on the agenda next, I'm gonna kick around.
Are you gonna pick one?
I have
Go ahead.
The mayor and Mayor Lee were the only two that were on the council at the time. Okay, so some of you are kind of blindsided by it. So what I did is I made copies of the minutes of the meeting and the original plan. So we start at this end, you can pass them out. And Tracy's right, you know, it was a joke that, okay, we're gonna give you some landscaping stones. Well, it looked like Stonehenge when they got finished with it. Oh, by the way, let me, for the record, Bob Sweeney, 14th Minute Circle. Or keep legit. So what happened, and my son drew the plans. Okay, and this was council meeting, and what happened was the water line was put in at that time, and part of the chains were down. We had to take a lot of them down in order to do the construction work for the water, for the increasing the size of the water line. So when they did that, I talked to a couple of people on the town. They said it was a pain in the neck, weed whacking around all those posts and everything. And it was much easier since some of them came down. So the request I brought forward, which is in the minutes, was that to not replace the posts and the chains, but to do this gardening at the two ends of the circle. And the council voted unanimously to, and you can see that on the second page of the minutes, where Howard brought it up and went through everything I had said. And they voted unanimously to do this project.
So they amended it to include boulders.
They wanted, yeah, JR wanted to make sure that there was a rock at either end of whatever was put in there.
Keep people from.
To keep people from running over the corners or, so. So that's where this thing stood for the last 6 years. And, you know, went on vacation, came home, and Ethan had, while I was gone just before he left, had trees planted. You know, it looks lopsided, it looks sloppy, and I agree with Tracy. The other part of it was at the time I presented also a petition from everybody on the circle that signed it, who was living there at the time. So that should be in the record someplace. If not, I can build my house and pull it out. And we certainly don't want any more trees on this road. So I just want to make sure you all have a copy of the minutes and the original.
I apologize to you too. Shouldn't be this long.
Apologize.
Well, you should, you deserve an apology, but again, I mean, I wouldn't sit around for this long amount of time to answer questions somebody.
Well, I think they raised questions, it just kind of just kept getting.
But it couldn't have because it never came back to us.
Yeah, I never.
It never came back to us.
Well,
So somebody didn't get the right memo.
We'll get it right.
So 30 days, you got to promise, we're going to do something.
I never even knew where the boulders came from, or why they got there. Now I do.
well, let me tell you
The
something.
dollars came
Let
before
me
this
tell you
story.
The town paid $1,000 for those boulders. Okay, and they had to have them delivered because Greg didn't have anything that could handle it. And that's why they had to break them up and take them out.
Yeah, and
So
that
from the staff side, you know, the trees were planted after speaking with the council. And the preliminary plan, which I guess, you know, I guess Ethan or Ethan probably didn't know about this original plan.
Oh, he did.
Okay.
He gave it to me.
Well, so he came in and presented, I guess, what is now referred to as the preliminary plan, which is
yes.
not the original plan. So the original plan came before the preliminary.
Well,
plan.
whoever modified the plan did not get back to the people who requested it and have it done in the first place.
So I'm not sure why that was done or working with who, maybe the park board, I don't know.
July
Um,
29th is when he put it out there for us to review, but it was never, there wasn't no motion or carry.
Is this what you-
Back in April 29th of 2019, it was proposed to be called. Ethan did present a PowerPoint presentation about the improvements, but he never put anything in there about doing anything other than what we have here, the drawing.
I can't remember if those plantings were grant funded or what. And then, and then at that point, Ethan left, the project got kind of put on the back burner. I forget who on Canode Circle contacted me again and said, what are we gonna do about these boulders? We invested in a rock breaker that could be attached to the,
I had talked to Greg several times about that. He said that he was getting me, but as soon as he got it, he would do it.
So
And take care of that.
we had the boulders removed, and I think at that time, still working from the preliminary site plan, not the original plan, we talked to Stu Mullendore about creating a plaque. And then I reached out to you and Ricky, that was several months ago.
Yep.
About what can we do to further this project along? I didn't get any feedback or response.
Well,
And that's the truth.
that's fine.
And
But I had trouble communicating with him.
yeah, that's also correct. Yeah, that was around the time you got sick. I agree. I then reached out several, I guess what was it, August? To the park board and Ricky and said, hey guys, this plaque is still sitting in my office. What's going on with this plaque? Got no response. So, you
Oh,
know,
this is not finger pointing.
well, I think it's important to, if you know, because the council has just been, you know, scolded for not doing its job, but, and I'm a representation of the council. And I serve at the pleasure of the council. So I think it's, if we're discussing all this, we should be plain and factual.
Okay.
And staff did approach members of the Canode Circle subdivision on you, Ricky,
What told me about the plaque?
well,
About
about
planting trees, not about.
the plaque, about planting trees, about a dedication ceremony, all those things.
Why would you dedicate?
You never talked to me about planting trees on the video, sir.
Yeah, they don't want the plaque
No.
and the dedication till the
I
actual.
think we
plan.
beat this
Yeah.
dead horse long enough.
We'll get
Do
it straightened
something,
out.
just, let's move on. It was just wrong.
We'll get it straightened out within the next 30 days.
Yeah, June 30th, you reached out to me. Park Board to facilitate a dedication. And I put on your per Tracy, it would be nice that if boulders would be taken out and some dirt put down or plant area tilled so we can put the bushes in before you have a dedication. So, yeah.
That's not the email I got. The email I got from you stated that you were not to do anything until you and Bob contact. But that's the email. I didn't get anything about what you just said.
That's
Okay,
fine.
guys,
We're done. We're gonna get it straight down.
I would agree.
I didn't say that to you. I just said it for Tracy. Tracy said. I said it to you, I'd say, Paul.
Okay. Obviously, there have been a lot of mistakes made. We'll get this rectified.
Yeah, it's like you just now need to move forward
That's
and
exactly
get
it.
it done.
Get it done.
Yes.
That's why we came, and that's why I brought the documents, because I knew that other than two of you sitting up there, no one on that panel right now was involved in the beginning of this thing. And something's been lost in the process.
And you would be upset too.
We'll get
If you were
it
me.
straightened out.
If your promise comes in, we should have executed.
Great.
it.
Good enough. Neil Bless.
Done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy, for bringing that.
Hello, my name is Neil Blessner. I live at 8707 Maple Grove Road. I came here to try to, I guess, confirm rumor that I've heard that someone within the boundaries of this township has contaminated our stream by pouring oil or something into the storm water management system. And I guess I'm trying to find out if that in fact has happened. If it has happened, how large of an area it is affected. And if I should be concerned about any health issues or anything like that, how large of an area this is affected.
Did you talk about the grease?
Yes, so, yes, we did. It's referred to as an illicit discharge. And I'd say, what was that, Kim, about 2 weeks ago? About 2 weeks ago, Public Works employees informed that creek down at Schaefer Park, which is both a stormwater conveyance and a waterway, because when it's not raining, it's fed by ground, had turned a milky white. So we chased it, or I guess followed it upstream and found that Dan's Tap House, the restaurant here, had been pouring grease into the storm sewer system. And probably over the period of months, because it took quite a long time for it to work its way through the storm sewer system and then into the creek. When we found out that it did, we isolated it the best we could. And used absorbent socks. We also had Taylor's sludge removal company come vacuum the surface of the creek. All of it was at the surface. And they also jetted the storm sewer system to clean it out. We were able to isolate it to just the creek and the storm sewer system, although some grease was found further downstream as well. This is not going to affect your water quality. It doesn't affect anything in the drinking water system. It is extremely harmful to the natural environment. And for that reason, we contacted the Maryland Department of the Environment and filed a report. That report has since been filed, and the owner of the restaurant is now working with the state to settle the issue. That's between them. The cost to clean out the storm sewer system and clean the creek was paid for by the restaurant. So,
Excellent. It's the only thing you might have missed is true that it's only impacted area was from Nan's down coming to the park, just that little bit of area. Beyond industry.
It
yes.
sounds like this incident probably because it was caught. Remediation efforts were put in place, what would have happened if it had been occurring over several month period had it gone further away, a larger area.
If it had been occurring for several months, we would have noticed it. I can't speak to that for sure, but I'm fairly certain our public works guys are at the park every day. One of them is trained to spot and identify illicit discharges, whether it be motor oil, cooking grease, anything that somebody might be dumping down a storm sewer. They did exactly what they're supposed to do when they see something like that. They chased it or followed it upstream to identify the source. We know that they've been doing it for months because the entire system was inundated with grease. And then once we did identify that it had occurred, we had one of the public works employees do a survey as far down the creek as he could see, evidence of grease. He found evidence of grease as far down as right there parallel with the fishing pond, but not to such a large extent that it would, warrant remediation, down there at that point in the stream.
So when you say there's no health concerns, how did you derive it?
Well, we do not use river water or any water from a waterway for the drinking water system. We have one spring, the Keysville Spring, well, actually two springs, the Warrenfeld Spring and the Keysville Spring, and then two wells, groundwater. Those, all four of our water sources are not in any way connected hydraulically or by surface water to the creek. So there's no worry about contamination or anything like that.
Within the town's water supply, but what about those that are not water supply that are tapped into it?
The closest municipality that uses river water would be
For residents. Somebody's, using this creek water to water their gardens or to supply their home.
so that's illegal. But the closest waterway,
It's illegal if they're not.
I think it's illegal, just plain and simple. I do not think you can, unless you have a special permit, you cannot take water from a waterway for irrigation purposes, for livestock purposes, anything like that. We have, and I know that because the town has a special permit to take water from that creek and fill the fishing pond.
Sure.
The closest municipality that uses river water is Williamsport. They use, I think, the Potomac, is that right?
Yes.
That is also not connected in any way to the Little Antietam Creek, at least not as far upstream as would cause concern.
Well, thank you for your explanation. Sounds like you're on top of it. Thank you all for serving.
Thank you. No ground infiltration of the water?
Certainly that, could be a possibility. I doubt that it has occurred. So can I be certain about that? No.
We have to do samples, soil samples.
You'd have to test all the water wells. That would be something that NDE would identify. And they know about this.
They were notified right away. As soon as we saw it, we called them and asked them. Quite well. Eric?
Now, you may say, why did I sign up for public comment? Ray Marilyn did it a couple times.
Oh, did you?
I wanted to make sure I got the 3 minutes.
Oh, okay. We didn't get 3 minutes up here.
Kitchen 115 Orchard Drive in Doonesboro. As you all know, I've recently become a member of the group. Congratulations. I'm also the liaison for our other members to the Planning and Zoning Commission. And I do attend also every Utilities Commission for some number. Okay, so I know we have this item on the agenda to talk about coming up here. So I just want to get a little forethought out there if I could. I talked to Paul a little bit about this earlier today. so as not to give him a big surprise. So we had this initial policy that was passed by the BMUC some months ago. Okay, we talked. I had some concerns then, sitting in the Utilities Commission meeting, but it passed the BMUC, although it was not unanimous. Then when the policy came here, I voted for it. Move it along to not be an obstacle. That's why I voted. Thought it was the thing to do. Now, it comes back to us for future discussion here this evening. I think it's fair to say, I mean, I've had work. I think we've had some unintended consequences of this. I think we know more now than we knew then. So I want to say that the only thing all of us are trying to do is correct the mistakes that may have been made in the past or oversights in the past. That's all we're trying to do always. Everyone has the best intentions. So this is nothing against anyone, anybody, certainly nothing against the customer who brought this to us. I want to share my thoughts on 2 points, if I may. Based on my professional experience in some of these matters, and believe me, I've had some. I've been taken to court more times than you can count on crazy stuff that's happened, forgeries, all kinds of stuff. I want to talk about 2 points very briefly about the process. Okay. First, this is a change to a policy that we're going to be discussing later. Policy's only a few months old, right? And again, it's not against these comments are not against the customer. It's about possibly overcomplicating what we're trying to achieve. So the change that we're going to discuss tonight has been voted on and passed by the BMUC once again. It once again was not unanimous. And again, that was not against customer. My topic is it was passed by an email vote. I did discuss this with Tony a week ago or something. In my opinion, not necessarily as a council member, but as a guy sitting in the audience, it warranted discussion in a meeting before it came back to us. That's my opinion on that. Number 2, quickly. I know that as the BMUC moves forward with this entire rate study project, and sorry, you and some others weren't here tonight, it's likely going to include some more subtopics beyond where we've been, such things as more tier rates in the structure. We've all talked about that a little bit. Residential versus commercial. We have yet to really talk in the BMUC much about it. In and out of town customers. We kind of had a little stumbling block earlier this week about our out of town customers I was simply not aware of, honestly. New construction tap fees. New construction tap fees. That's going to be an important one. So these are just some of the subtopics that I jotted down. So to resolve the fixed fee situation as brought to us by Mr. Ridenour, there are 60 to 70 other customers, just like Mr. Ridenour, as I'm understanding, 60 to 70 others, okay? So as we move into these new tiered rate structures, we'll have to modify these same 60 to 70 people again in the system. I'm figuring that's what's going to happen. So based on all the subtopics that I mentioned that we have yet to discuss, and I'm sure there's some that I missed, I think these modifications are going to continue. I think they really will. These are types of special modifications. Believe me, I've had extensive IT background. I wrote financial code for the Department of Commerce for 30 years. I've been down the pipe. I guarantee that this administrative workload for these types of special changes are going to continue, and that guy has enough to do. And in fact, I'm sorry Tracy didn't stay. I think she gave me ammunition for my topic. As years pass, commission members transition, employees transition. If that got lost in the shuffle, I'll guarantee you this will get lost in the shuffle. Just my 2 cents. Doesn't mean I'm right. but that's not professional opinion. So I would only suggest, and I'm sure this isn't popular with everyone, I would only suggest that maybe we just scrap the whole damn thing, go back to where we started, charge him one flipping tap fee, pass it back to the BMUC and tell them to get it right. Get it right, make it simple, easy to understand, so we can explain it to our customers. And with that, doesn't mean I'm right, Tony, doesn't mean anybody,
I just had a question. I wasn't going to say you were wrong, right, or indifferent. When you said tap fee, what are you referring to?
I said tap fee mistakenly, I
Okay.
meant fixed fee.
Thank you.
I meant fixed.
I needed clarification.
Yeah, sorry, I got tongue twisted there.
Okay,
So-
because we get all these terms flying
I
around.
know, we talk about EDUs, we talk about tap fee, we talk about fixed fee.
Yeah.
We gotta get a handle on all this stuff. In the BMUC, I think, as one collective comprehensive policy before it comes back here, that we can make sense of it. Just my 2 cents. Doesn't mean I'm right, but I had to get it out there. I literally haven't slept the whole damn week. And I'm not kidding. So that's,
I can show you my phone log of how much he has called
Are you
me.
texting them late at night?
Oh, my goodness, all the time. Phone rings and he looks at me like, "Is that here again?"
I
can show you how to use do not disturb.
So,
I got to teach you.
with all due respect, everyone.
Thank you, Eric. Very good comments. That was all the citizen comments we had signed up for. Mayor and council correspondence. I think the 9/11 Remembrance Parade service went very, very well. Weather held off for Vernon, which is very thankful for him. I know he was probably a nervous wreck.
I had one complaint. I guess there was a group that was throwing candy.
Oh, man.
And
I got
then it was the same lady that called me. She said about the throwing candy. And she said that she didn't think that so much political stuff should have been part of it.
Did we identify the group that was throwing the candy?
She didn't say. I told her to contact her.
Yes, that's the problem.
I had somebody say something to me as well that night about the candy, and I told them that the town technically is not in charge
That's
of
what I
it.
told her.
Not passing the buck, but I said you do need to talk to the fire department because that is their parade,
Yeah, I told her the same thing.
Yeah.
so.
because I didn't get told who it was either.
I think Vernon told them that they could throw candy as long as it wasn't
It
in
wasn't
the
in the
area.
square.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I didn't think that was a good idea, but it wasn't my call. So
We're not in
relayed
charge
to
of
him
that. We're
that
not in charge of that.
it didn't go over that well. So I kind of thought sometimes people in Jordan can have praise about candy throwing.
Mhm.
Yes, absolutely.
Or some other remembering, you know what I mean, an event. So, and I can tell, I'll make sure I tell.
But other than that, it went very, very nice, well attended. That's the largest crowd I've seen in town for that. It was even full on up the hill towards Mount Nebo.
Wow, okay, I didn't think it
Maybe
was,
some of it is Sunday night.
Might
I
have
didn't think it was
Well,
well attended. That,
I thought it was more people than past years.
I didn't think so. Maybe they were spaced out.
Yeah, I thought it was like once it got past the square.
I could be wrong.
But
Bluesburg Days were successful, especially on Saturday. Weather made some people, threat of the weather made some people pull out on Saturday night,
Yeah,
this Sunday. The
I heard
food truck festival, oh, you're always gonna get complaints. Food truck festival went very well. I had one of the fire police make a suggestion, and their Public Works Department's already taken care of it. Down here across from the Public Works, it's designed, ADH designs a curving, so people are blind walking across, they have something to knock, hit, and so they know where the walkway is, and then make the turn and go on the other walkway. So that's why that concrete's there. He said 3, 4, 5 people tripped over that. So the guys painted it a bright red, so we'll see it now.
You'll notice it when you drive
Yes.
out that
That
way.
way people
It's
should
real red.
trip
It
over.
looks,
He said one
a lot
elderly
better.
lady, she said, well, one, for some guy walked by, said she would have went face down, but he called her before she hit the ground. So, he suggested that, so it's already taken care of, so we're good on that. Anything else from the council correspondence? I will be attending a Eagle Scout presentation again this Saturday for Dan. Dan that does the designs, Murphy's son, down at Kaplan's.
Thanks for reminding me so I can print it.
Thank you. Proclamation. Police department report. What you got,
He's
Chief?
also that ribbon cutting in Williamsport at the
Yes,
Seacoast Canal
yes.
Wednesday.
You going?
I may.
I already signed up to go to. That's at 11 o'clock.
Mhm.
Chief,
Alrighty. The calls of service were 78. We had 21 motor vehicle contacts, and we had a domestic Mansfield Circle where one of the persons got locked up for a threat of fire. The suspicious person that everybody was calling complaint about was the Xfinity sales representative. We've located his boss, and he's actually a true person, even though his sales skills needs well adjusted. I mean, apparently he was giving people a hard time about, and that's what made it so suspicious. And then for the month of August, the police department got a bunch of calls about asking for special traffic enforcement, Della Lane, South Avenue, Monument Drive, Young Avenue, the list goes on. Well, we spent 14 hours logged in. We actually started a sheet, and out of those 14 hours, we made 6 traffic stops. So that these people that are complaining about having such a big problem, 6 out of 14 hours, we made 6 traffic stops out of 14 hours. And to give you an example of that, last night we had 2 accidents up here on North Main Street. And while I'm handling the second accident, one of the people live up there, oh, the place, the drag strip. So it just so happens we have one of those speed signs. So during 16 days from the 1st to the 16th, we had a total on North Main Street going northbound, 36,499. Out of that many cars, 2%, 553 was going over 40 miles an hour. 12% was going over 35. So, I mean, the average, we usually stop a car between, usually we give them 12 miles over speed limit before we stop a vehicle. So, I mean, they're saying there's such a problem that you're talking 12% of the traffic is what they're complaining about. So, it gives you an idea. We also got a camera up, or not a camera, but a speed sign up close to Eric's place. And up there, we have a total of 13% going over 30 miles an hour, and 0.3% going over 40 miles an hour. Between 35 and 40, we got 2% of speeders on that road. It gives you an idea of how, how bad the traffic is, how bad it is. I mean, people say it is, but it's not as bad as they think.
That gets your attention coming down that hill.
You see them hit the brakes, don't you? Yeah, they work. I mean, people say they don't, but they do. And then we need to vote. I don't know if you all care about it or not, but Ballesteros and Moretti and myself did National Night Out. Amy Rudy attended the mayor and council meeting here at Town Hall. Myself and Amy both attended a public safety meeting about the Chase 6 intersection. And then Officer Ballesteros did the public safety commission meeting, and then I attended the mayor workshop meeting. And then we need to vote tonight. We brought that up at the workshop about the new cruiser purchase from Keystone Ford. Just to give you an idea, the estimate cost with the light bar is $57,597. Without the light bar, it's $55,953. It was budget allowance was $70,000, so we're well under budget on that. So we just need a vote on that. So we and it says it's about 6 months till we get it. And when we get it, it'll be ready for the rent. It's going from Ford to a group that actually does nothing but fire trucks and police cars and that kind of stuff. So we don't have to wait for.
How long should it take?
You get approximately 6 months from the time it's ordered to the time we receive it.
And this is on state contract.
Yes. Yep, it's on.
We're gonna find out.
Yeah. Guys, you use the long one over here.
Okay. No, that's, yes, we just need to vote on that.
So I wasn't here at the workshop, but if somebody wants to make a motion for the cruiser purchase, then I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion for the cruiser purchase with the light.
Right.
57K.
Okay, so we have a motion to purchase the vehicle with the light bar. Okay, Terry's got a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? I'm going to abstain because I wasn't here. And we'll pass the vote.
And what was the total on that again, Kevin?
57 something.
With the board light was 57,597, 98 cents. That's just an estimate. It's not going, I don't think it's going to change that.
I wrote 58,000, Kim, it's easier.
Yeah, and then without the light bar, it's 5,500, you know, vote on that. And we just need to know before we send it to that guy what we want with or without the light.
And we just passed. Okay?
Or do you think there's a reason behind it? Is that your recommendation?
Well, it's sometimes it's, personally, I like marked cars because you don't know how much crime you get toward with a marked unit riding around. But it saves a little bit on gas mileage and it's less maintenance because the light bar is exposed. With the weather, sometimes you have difficulties. If you got it inside, you don't have it. You're not punching another hole up through the hood, so resale value increases a little bit. But yeah, so I mean, there's pros and cons to having light bars and not having. Visibility is much more going to make a traffic stop around there, but you have, to, you know, it's just.
But you're fine if we do it with the light bar.
Tony, with respect to that, what if it goes to 59,000? Can we give him some percentage to just go
I
ahead?
think we locked in the price, right?
Well,
We have a bid.
it's an estimated cost, is what it is.
Yeah.
And I don't see it going up much over that.
I'll give you 1% over.
Yeah, that's all.
We have to have a budget anyway.
Yeah, he's gonna be
It's just
within.
something that come back.
Right, because
Yeah,
it still
no,
has to get pushed
yeah,
with
I'm
the
going-
computers and stuff, right? Like, so
Yes,
that's,
yes.
that's when the budget gets.
It's about
that.
57.
I mean, we're well within the budget.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you're in your.
Right. That's what we have.
Are you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Any other questions of the chief?
Did you already vote?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it passed.
Thank you. I didn't get the cough drop in favor. Okay. Thank you, chief.
Yes, sir.
Sorry I messed up your report.
You're fine. I mean, the main thing is what we need to get that car ordered down.
Yeah.
Before the deadline.
Did you tell Nelson
And
to give you a better discount?
yeah, he told me that you owe him more than he owes you. So you're- So everything, I mean, you can see the difference on that sign out there when we put it up.
Oh, absolutely. I see it myself when I fly downhill.
Oh, you did?
Under new business, did anybody have any old business to bring forward? Hearing none, moving on to new business. Boothsburg Municipal Utilities Commission amended water and sewer billing policy.
Well, I can't wait to take this one on. Okay, so, the new billing policy went into effect. And what the decision was that we made is that we were picking up these accounts that we did in our audit, where there are one water meter and several dwellings at that water meter. And the original policy that we passed was that we were going to start charging per dwelling, per water meter at these individual residents. And that's where a lot of this started from. The BMUC did recommend this policy. It got brought up to the mayor and the council. The mayor and council passed this policy. Since then, we've had one resident who was with us this evening, came out to the mayor and council. We also went back to the BMUC. I wasn't in person at that meeting, but I was online. And basically, the conversation resolved around the concern where this particular water meter was going to be always on the high side of the usage, which I think it was averaging somewhere between 80,000 and above. So consideration was given by the BMUC and discussion. It was recommended by the BMUC, and I'll just address Eric's concern that we did it by an email vote. We weren't addressing the policy, we were amending the policy. Could we have gone back to a regular meeting and had further discussion? Hindsight's always 20/20. Are we going to continue to have problems? I don't want to say we're going to have problems, but there is not a perfect world, and we're always going to find a mistake somewhere. We decided at the BMUC level that we would want to be fair to an individual who has one water meter and more than one dwelling. It's really simple. One water meter, one dwelling, one fixed fee. Your rate doesn't change, it's 18,000. After 18,001 gallons, you pay the new rate. 2 households, it's real simple. You multiply 18,000 times 2, that means their base is going to be 36,000. Their next level will be 36,001. 3 households, 54,000, 54,001. I can keep going through the math, but it's simple math. You're just simply going to multiply the number of units that are at that water meter, single water meter, and you're going to make their base based on how many households are in that specific unit. So in Mr. Ridenhour's case, it would be 18 fixed fees. The new thing would be 324,000. He wouldn't start paying the second rate until 324,001 gallons. That Yvette did a spreadsheet for me, and this particular resident was paying on an average, if you did 80,000 gallons, $17,216.20, $1,716.20 for a quarter on the old system. The new system that we're talking about tonight, it would be at the same 80,000, $2,476. That's an increase of $750 per quarter and $41.66 per unit per quarter. Is it a perfect world? Apparently it's not. We found an error. We were addressed. We talked about it, and I thought that we made a pretty good resolution. Is that where you want to be with it tonight? I don't know. I thought we were in a good place, and we were not changing. We were just doing an amendment so that we would put the level playing field for every resident for the same amount of water based on units at that particular site. Any questions?
Well, here's my fear. We've heard from one customer who's actually read the letter thoroughly. I'm sure there's customers who've got this change but didn't really comprehend it until they get their bill. And and then I would really like to know, like, is this affecting other businesses and residents that have more than one EDU assigned to it? Have we done this same scale, or do we just have the start of the test? Like, have we?
This is only on a dwelling that has one water meter. If there are more or multiple water meters, they are
Right.
correct.
Again, we have one water meter at buildings that have more than one EDU or fixed rate assigned.
Say that again.
We have one water meter at a location that does still have more than one EDU assigned to it. or fixed fee.
Correct.
So doesn't that mean now we've got to put this sliding scale into effect there because we probably weren't doing that before?
Absolutely. We're putting it on with every customer
So my
that we have changed
question
from one.
Begins to be, have we opened up a can of worms that not getting us where we thought we were being in the scale of being fair to everyone? That it needs a little more
So
look at?
let's go back to the genesis of this. So we, towards the end of the rate study that we completed with CERCAP and Gene Holloway, we talked about this at the council level months and months and months ago. I brought it up just as kind of a, hey, Amanda, this was when Amanda was here. Amanda was looking through the system. She noticed, and I think the red flag was that we noticed the Orchard Manor apartments. We noticed that there's one water meter there, but each one of those buildings has 6 or 8 units. So we took the opportunity during a recent billing, because we still walk around to all the different service locations. Public Works, we met with Public Works right before one of their meter readings and asked them to perform a survey. They looked at each service location in the entire system. They looked for rear doors, basement apartments, more than one mailbox. They looked for evidence of more than one unit. They were able to determine a large portion of our system and a large portion of service locations and our customers had more than one dwelling unit at that particular service location. So with that said, that's where all this began. That was an exhaustive search. There's no can of worms here. It's possible 1 or 2 may pop up again. But, I don't think there's going to be many more that we find.
Okay, but you say staff went and looked at these places. Did they then verify with the property owner whether these are multiple units or did we just make this assumption?
They were sent a letter with the explanation that we passed. And
Right, but I mean, before that point, if you went and saw
Yes,
someone's
yes,
serving, you
yes,
thought,
yes.
Everybody received a letter before the billing policy was changed.
no, that wasn't my question. My question was if staff went to someone's house and saw, oh, they have an outside basement or a mailbox, did anybody verify there's actually 2 apartments there? Or was it old or we're making that assumption?
Yes, we did. That's what the letter was for.
And we also got several.
Yeah, so the letter was just telling people they were getting
No.
this new bill, not, hey, you have apartments here.
No.
Okay, well, so my question then goes back to, again, like the AT&Ts, because I know they're more than one.
Don't speak
That's
about
commercial.
commercial. It has nothing to do with this.
We're not doing commercial yet.
Has nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
Well, we're in the process of an audit.
Well,
I'm not saying
We're doing an audit right now.
I guess I don't understand why we're treating residential different from commercial, I guess would be my question there then again.
because
Because
commercial
residential is where people live
Right.
and
Commercial
commercial is where people do business.
But it doesn't, you don't treat water different, they don't flush it.
Actually, the commercial and residential, there is no differentiation between the rates. They don't pay a different rate, they pay the exact same rate.
I didn't say we did different with their rates. I just said that we treat them differently in how they're billed.
And
as
that's
far
what
as
I
fixed
don't,
rates.
and again, that's where I'm back
Yeah, I
to,
think you guys are saying the same thing.
have we opened up, have we thoroughly investigated this enough? And I honestly think no. I think if we'd investigated enough, we probably would have figured out the problem where we're giving them multiple fixed fees, but now we're not giving them the usage discount. How does that make us with where we thought we were gonna be
So
ahead
I
with
can answer
funding
that, I can
versus-
answer that question. When this was originally discussed, I did include, this comes straight out of the AWWA, American Water and Wastewater Association billing policy. I did include number 2, the change you're referring to. When I brought it to the BMUC and there was discussion, and this was in February, they thought that it would create administrative headaches, and they felt that the property owners should be responsible for installing extra meters or handling this administrative burden instead of staff. So we removed it. We obviously came back to the original idea that this should be included. So that's what happened there. You saying that we didn't do our due diligence, I don't think is fair. That's what you said.
It said, I think that we need more research.
Well, that's due
So
diligence.
that's due
It's the
diligence.
same
Well,
thing.
again, on that too, why was one thing versus fair, but the other wasn't versus fair, and it was thrown out? But now we're back to it is fair, so I'm sorry, I do think we're questioning ourselves. I think we might have jumped the gun. I don't think we're gonna get the benefit that we thought we were gonna get from this without a whole lot of unintended consequences.
Okay, can you name an unintended consequence?
I don't know what they are because they haven't appeared, but obviously Lauren's
Okay,
case was
well,
an unintended consequence.
His came to us and we fixed it.
Well, have we fixed it? I mean,
Yes.
now we're proposing to amend the policy again,
Right.
but we don't know that we fixed it.
Well, why can't, how do you say that if we don't know? We just did. The correction that we're, no, seriously, the correction that we're
Because
making.
my question is, I don't understand how that apartment unit's getting charged more than maybe another location using more usage, but they haven't.
Fixed
used
fees
it.
It's
and
not gonna
usage have
change.
nothing to do with
It's
each
not
other.
gonna, it's,
They have
you have
nothing
to
to do with
be,
each
you
other.
have to be understanding that if they
Okay,
have,
well, if I'm gonna say, if I don't have a thorough understanding, then I think it's difficult to
but it's,
explain to our customer base and our customers.
it's simple, Mary Lee. If you have 5 units, you have 5 fixed fees and your usage is based on 5 times 18,000 for your base.
The way we have
That
it
is
now,
not-
if you live. in-
Are you understanding that, Lauren?
I do understand that, yes.
Okay, are you confused by anything that I said tonight?
No, I
Okay,
understand.
I'm not asking if you agree with it, I'm just asking if it's explained properly.
Yeah, I understand 18,000 gallons per unit.
Okay.
Yes.
But you also get from getting charged one fixed fee of $70 to 18 times that.
I didn't say anything about that. That was the whole thing that brought this to light, is that there is an inequity between what the fixed fees are currently as to what they should be. It was a
But I
mistake,
guess that's where we're to opinion and should be.
but we already passed that.
These
We've
are,
already
these
passed
these
that.
are.
We passed this too. and it didn't get done.
No, forget that. That didn't get done. This got done. So it's not the same. You gotta compare apples to apples.
These are industry standard
We
practices.
did pass this policy and we are putting it into play, but we're willing to amend it so that it's done correctly. So don't put that in front of me. That's not the same. This got forgotten. Okay, I won't be clear.
Yeah, we've been working on this for months.
So it's up to you if you want to bring this for a vote.
Just one last thing, the reason, the whole reason we wanted to do this is because while we were doing the rate study, we realized, we're not creating the reserves we really need. We're not accounting for our expenses properly. We need to slowly phase in some kind of increase.
And our fixed fees are supposed to be there to collect our operating costs
But,
before we do the first gallon of water.
but
I
listen,
understand.
listen.
Trust me, I'm
But
very
if we are considering any kind of rate increases, we have to be charging our customers fairly and equitably to begin with. There has to be a level playing field. If there's not, then any kind of rate increase we want to discuss in the future will immediately be shot full
Will
of.
be improper.
Well, I do have one question.
Yeah.
We're doing this with customers, but then what you said about businesses, commercial. And that's, I just don't want that to get put on the wayside.
So
It's
I want that.
Yeah, I don't understand why we're implementing one before the other. I don't understand the whole thorough search. I don't understand where we're really
Well,
going ahead.
I understand we got to start somewhere though.
yes,
I
that's-
do
and that's
understand
what we're
that.
doing.
I just want to make sure we are going to keep moving on it with the
So,
business.
so I can tell you that Yvette and I sat down the other day and reached out to one of our consulting engineers at Triad. There aren't a lot, when it comes to revising the way commercial properties are charged, it's not going to be as sweeping as residential. there's only a few businesses in town that use enough water, that have enough EDUs that might need to be revised. I'm not even gonna say they need to be revised, but they do need to have our consulting engineer go in and do what's referred to as a fixture unit count. He's gonna go in there, he's gonna identify exactly, because back when this stuff was decided, it was decided haphazardly. You know, it was really based on, there was no objectivity. It was really just based on, probably a lot of it was left to staff who really didn't understand what was going on.
Well, I know when the meters were originally done, I would bet the apartments were one of the first ones to be metered when the rest of the town wasn't metered and still getting flat fees because they did, you know, businesses and things first.
But
You know,
looking
how-
at our other commercial service locations, like Wise, like AT&T, like not Readers, like Sterling Care, it's obvious that they need to be looked at more closely because they're not paying.
Well,
their fair
again,
share.
I'm back to,
But
I get
they're,
that, but then I don't think it's fair to let them float and you're gonna start on another person first. I think
they're not gonna
we might need
float.
to
They're not
talk
gonna
about
float.
all
We
of
had a-
this at once and revisit.
We had a starting point.
Mary Lee, that's
And
not
this
fair.
And
That's
this is
just
where
not
we,
fair.
this is where we started, and we're gonna continue on with the next phase, and we're gonna keep on moving this down the road. We're not gonna do any, forget me.
So you are agreeing with what we're saying, you just don't think it was packaged?
I don't think the heartburn we're feeling, I don't think the reward we thought we were gonna get is worth the heartburn that we're feeling. I don't know how you can defend billing someone this way forever and now such a huge change. I mean, that's just an enormous, it's an enormous increase. And I just think that's
Yes, sir.
hard to swallow.
That's exactly right. And you said slowly phase it in.
Yeah.
It wasn't slowly
No,
phased
no, the rate, so what I was talking about, that's the rate increases for the entire system. That is for single family households, apartments.
Would increase for single family households.
That's something we're gonna be considering in the future.
No, what I'm saying is it wasn't slowly phased in for me. And I appreciate the fact that you talked about it with the BMUC and you made adjustments. I thank you for that. And again, I thank you all for doing your job. It's a thankless job. I appreciate it. But, you know, our bill went from a 65% increase down to a 45% increase, and I appreciate the reduction. But receiving a letter on August 1st and saying that it started July 1st and just having it slammed right in our face without any kind of timeline for us to prepare for that was not right. It was not fair. And you said slowly phased in.
But when I was
It was
referring to slowly
slowly
phasing something in, I was talking about the rate increases that we need in order to be a sustainable utility provider. And that's for these system-wide, because.
Okay, but
Okay, let me, hold on.
Let me just say one more thing, Kathy. I'm sorry. Let me say one more thing. So when you say that it should have been more phased in, and honestly, Mr. Ridenour, I wish we could have done that. We have to, though, consider the inequity on the flip side of the coin. All of the residents who are paying their fair share, and then your particular tenants are paying 1/18 of a fixed fee.
I don't see it that way.
I get it, but
We're paying the higher rate.
Yeah.
We're paying the same
there
rate
has
as
been this,
commercial
there has been this inequity
Well, where's the
for
inequity?
years and years and years.
What about what Mary Lee's saying? What about the inequity between us and the commercial properties?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't the fee increase happen across the board for everybody at the
We
same time?
can't get hung up on the
Because-
residential and
because-
the commercial. Number one, the commercials are paying their own amount of fixed fees. They're not paying one fixed fee. Okay, they pay several.
And they don't pay fixed fees based on household.
Right, they pay it based on volume, based on the amount of beds, if it's Sterling, based on the amount of bathrooms, whether they have a.
Sterling is a difficult situation to handle because a lot of their tenants are transient. You know, they have hospice there. So those are not permanent residents. They also have supportive housing. Those people should be treated more like an apartment building. You know, there's going to take considerable consideration and the opinion of an engineer to determine what they should be paying and how to properly apportion the amount of fixed fees they should be paying. But there's only about two handfuls of businesses that need that type of scrutiny. most of the businesses downtown, like across the street at one of these, I don't know, Josie's on Main. Obviously, that's only one EDU. They don't have a kitchen. They don't have, but the other one is the Nora Roberts,
The end.
the inn. They have a commercial kitchen. They regularly serve food to large gatherings. They also have a transient population. Those people come and go. So those rooms are not being used every night. So we can't charge them like an apartment building now. It requires special consideration, and we're doing that. We are in the process of auditing all of the commercial liquor. I promise you, there is so much effort and work and due diligence going into this process.
I understand that. I just don't understand why it seems like it was
Okay, I want to
ramrodded.
address that last comment, because we are going to phase in this first quarter billing for you. It's not going to be the 2476, it's going to be the 2056 this first quarter. And then the following quarter, it's going to be the full amount. So we are going to do that as well.
So you're calling that phasing it in, giving us 1 month without fixed fees, that's phasing it in?
Mr. Ridenhour, listen, if we hadn't phased it in for you, we would have to, if we phased it in for you the way you would like, then
we have to do it for everybody.
We have to do it for the entire
All the
system.
accounts that
We have to do it for
everybody. That's the right way of doing it.
But on the other
Large,
side,
we're talking about that large.
on the other side, on the other side of the coin, maybe I need a refund for the last 30 years.
Exactly.
I mean, there's always a way to
Or
do
maybe
that.
you should get refunded when you had a water meter installed before the others. Again.
He wasn't the original builder.
Okay, whoever.
Well, but it's all
You know what I
relative,
mean?
so.
Well, if it's
Okay.
all relative, then I don't
We,
understand. why
we,
we're
we, we beat this around enough. Yes, sir.
Okay.
I got a question. When you did the EDU study, where people have converted houses into apartments, are you going to go back and look at whether they should have, when that happened, they should have paid multiple EDUs for that property?
You
Yeah,
mean in terms of tap fees?
As far as tap fees?
Well, I don't think that's possible or plausible or legal, unfortunately.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
Or put something in place that says, when you do that with an existing property.
We'll have to pass a new ordinance that requires that if you're going to take a single dwelling and make it into a duplex or have a sublet apartment, then you're going to be
Let me tell
required
you
to put a
what
second
comes to
tap
mind. Down the street here, okay, the vacant lot.
in. I know what
Nice
you
paper
mean.
on it. They came before the MUC, and we settled on the fact that based on, they're gonna have 4 apartments, based on the usage and whatever,
How many tap fees are we going to charge?
yeah, but it was only 3 tap fees.
See, and that's where I start to have a problem.
They should have been.
That's new construction.
Right.
We're talking about existing construction.
I understand that, but,
Still not fair. If he's gonna have 4 apartments and 3 fees.
but what are you gonna
Really, I
do?
think you're confusing tap fees and fixed fees. They're not the same.
Right.
They're
Even
not.
if you're paying for
I'm
fixed
talking
fees.
about tap fees. Okay, so that if I come in here and I buy an old house and make 4 apartments out of it, am I gonna have to pay 4 tap fees? If he built an apartment, with 4 apartments, in it, he's gonna have to pay 4 tap fees. You see the inconsistency?
Yeah, there's a lot of inconsistencies and I just.
No, I'm talking about tap fees, I'm not
The
talking
whole
about.
thing. I just feel like, I feel like we
And
just
it's the same thing with the trailer park,
got issues.
The trailer park is now going to be charged.
because they weren't being charged.
They're being
They had
charged.
EDUs separate, but they were not being
I
charged
think that
multiple.
I think they have 1 EDU and they have 20 mobile homes out there.
I'll take her in a second.
And now they're going to be charged a fixed fee. And be
They
charged
actually
back
have 15.
15.
So it went from 1 to 15. out there.
So my question is, I mean, I know you're telling me they got a letter, but of course theirs won't go up because they don't have the sewer, so there's the book.
It won't go up.
The issue with tap fees is that is much more, is typical for new construction. I don't think you can go back and charge a new tap fee. The tap has already occurred. I mean, it refers to the physical tap as much as it does. Yes, yes.
We agree.
Yeah.
Properties grandfather those people in, like you said, you can't go back.
There can be reassessed new tap fees, but they have been brought into the fold with the correct amount of fixed fees.
So Tony, if I understand that, I'm trying to remain quiet on purpose.
That's all right.
I've had my time.
No, that's all right.
Bob's talking about H&H over here. So they are required to pay some additional tap
Yes.
fees.
Right. Yes.
Yes. They're also going to now be required to pay for fixed fees.
That's, if that's what they, that's correct.
Or that's
Yes.
what the discussion is.
Yes.
Okay, we have a request here. I think we've discussed this long enough. Bensboro Municipal Utilities Commission, Town of Bensboro, Maryland, Utilities Billing Process and Procedure providing for the manner in which town provided utilities are billed and collected. Do I have a motion to accept the recommendation by the Utilities Commission?
I'll make a motion that we accept the amended policy as stated.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
What did he say?
He said opposed. Okay. So it will go back to the
Take
drawing.
back to the BMC.
Well,
You guys are gonna have to.
It's 3-2.
It's only who's present. So listen, what's in effect now is the billing policy, which is much like the billing policy we have right in front of us. That billing policy is in effect. So I mean, if you guys are really gonna send us all the way back to the drawing board, you have to repeal the policy that's in effect.
I'll make a motion to repeal the policy that's in effect. Get back to the way we were doing it until we look at it further.
We have a motion on the floor to repeal the current policy. Do I have a second?
It's ridiculous. All the work we did.
I'll roll second that.
We have a motion and a second to repeal the current policy. All in favor, say aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carries 3-2. Okay, moving on. Request for proposal bid results, GIS survey and modeling service.
Did you miss one, Howard?
No.
No.
So we got 9 bids and one of them was just much better than the rest. And, you know, we're familiar with that firm. And they came in about $10,000 over what we budgeted, but, you know, it's.
And who's the name of the company?
The name of the company is Barton La Judice. And
Do I have a motion to accept the bid that we received from?
Well, I can say that I believe that the Environmental Commission will probably give 5,000 towards that. So really that is just 5,000. At least that's what they talked about. If we move forward, they may use 5,000 for it.
yeah,
So I'll make a motion.
I'll make the motion for
Yep.
BMUC that we accept the bid.
And I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to accept this. Any discussion?
all I do is work with.
Any discussion?
The only thing I saw on that one is we'll probably need to update the dates, because I think it was based on our meeting last week.
Here we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Opposed, the same. All, please. We have motion carries. Request for proposal HVAC service contract.
So our current contract is up, and is supposed to place it out for bids for the same thing that we do every other year. Just the contract to take care of our HVAC in all the towns.
Yes, I'll make a motion to put it out for bid.
We have a motion to put out the HVAC
I'll second it.
request proposal for service. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Abstained, motion carries. Request for proposal for snow plowing and sidewalks.
Also, same, Greg Huntsberry asked that we place this out for bids again. We do it every year. This is for the plowing and snow from the sidewalks removal that our guys can handle in the event of a huge storm.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Abstained, motion carries. 60th annual J. Kennedy 50-mile
Ultra marathon.
marathon. Who's got that?
Well, I just know Dave Long had been in contact, and I think, I forgot, you guys said somebody on the EDC committee was maybe on the committee or
Yeah.
liaison.
Yeah, the EDC is working to come up with, an additional celebration plan for the 60th anniversary of the JFK run. They suggested creating kind of like a plaque or something like that.
Yeah, a plaque to put on town hall and 2 plaques to put on the sidewalk where the starting line would be. That
To
would be on the
commemorate.
sidewalk.
Mhm.
And to help cover that expense, there is some money through the Convention Bureau people that's going to help us out as part of the cost of those plaques. So,
And then I also put a write-up about the race in the newsletter.
Oh, good.
So for people who just really don't even know what it really is, it happens here
How could
every year.
anybody not know what that is?
A lot of people
Yeah.
just think it's
They're
like,
asleep. They don't realize
It's
it's
true.
on Main Street.
and there will be more
Time to happen,
details.
they don't know what happened. They're looking, why is all the Santa Claus on Main Street?
Tyler Hornbaker's the main contact board with the EDC. And David Long's been in contact with him and myself. They want me to say a few words at the beginning of it since it's their 68th year.
yeah, so we'll work on
We'll
the
let the council know the
proclamation.
time and everything when it comes, so we'll be prepared for that. I think it's at 5:30 in the morning.
I was gonna say it starts early.
Well, yeah.
The race
the,
starts at 6:30, but I think they're,
There's a couple waves.
yeah. Your faster people start first and your slower people last. So, okay. Alden 40 water line looping, see application, invitation, and WRA, engineering proposal.
All right, we were recently invited to submit an ARC application for the water line looping project. We talked about that project a lot. Does anybody need any explanation on that project?
Can't imagine if they would.
Okay. Well, it's, it was included in our, honestly, do you guys know what the water line looping project is?
It's the Alden.
No, listen, do we know what it is?
Do y'all know what we're talking about?
I know you do. Does anybody
Well,
else? know what it is?
explain it, just.
Okay,
no,
okay,
just
okay.
quick, so-
So right now, no, but I'm interested. Does anybody know what
No,
it is?
go ahead.
Yeah,
Okay, what is it there?
it is looping the line that goes from point and has to be flushed daily, Mill Point Road and alternate 40
Okay.
to come back and hook into the line in town, so it can be a continuous
Right.
flow
So
of
every
filtration
every
like the
year
other
we-
lines in town.
Every year we flush about 1 million gallons of treated water into a field. So the process now would be to loop the line, as Mary Lee said, back into itself. It's part of our water and wastewater priorities list, that little booklet we spent a lot of time putting together. It's one of the projects our lobbyist is working to get funding for. And to complete an ARC application properly, you need to have a preliminary engineering report. The application is due on November 18th, and there's not a lot of time here. We're under contract with WRA. I asked them for a proposal. We got the proposal. I would like to move forward.
So their estimate is $21,471.
Correct.
Do I have a motion to accept the equipment records?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Do we have a motion and a second for their engineering fees? Any other discussion?
Do we have it in the budget to spend?
Is it in the budget?
I don't think it was a budget item. We're gonna have to find it because we're working so diligently with this water infrastructure packet that we're trying to get all these revenues, but to do this, to apply for this, we have to have the engineering report. It's just
Great, so
it's an oops.
I'm fine with passing something, but I think that it's important that we decide how we're funding it while we do it. Do we want to take it out of the,
I'll take it out of the reserves. I'll take it out of the reserves. I'll take it out of the reserves.
Is it fair to say we didn't think we were going to have this opportunity?
That's why I said it was an oops. I mean, it wasn't that we weren't planning, it's just that we didn't expect this one to be
Just
right.
saying, but there's a possibility of getting some grant money to get it done.
So we'll do the water fund reserve.
Hopefully the whole thing's gonna be paid for.
Right. We just need to keep moving forward so we can get that.
Did you say you made a motion?
I did make a
We have a
motion.
motion. Do we have a
I'll
second?
second.
And Eric seconded.
Oh, Eric second. I'm sorry, Eric. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, motion carries. Thank you. Any other new business come before the council? Hearing none, commission report, park board. Ricky? Okay.
Under unfinished business, we have a meeting on August 24th at 7 o'clock down at the, down. Unfinished business, the grant was received to purchase 6 educational signs about trees and the environment to be placed around the park. 20,000 was received from Antietam Watershed Alliance to plant 50 trees on the town property. The town is looking to contract the GIS. We already did that. They talked about the food truck festival. We all have to be the dead horse. Appalachian Trail Commission. No one from the park board volunteered for it. Motion to adjourn was 8:15. Next one is next week, I believe, on the 28th at 7 o'clock, probably down to park.
Thank you, Ricky. Any questions of Ricky? Hearing none, Pittsburgh Municipal Utilities Commission.
Yep, we last met on August 24th, zoomed in. Under old business, we were updated on the reservoir. They've already completed the boring and they found no rocks. The soil can support the new reservoir. The design is 60% complete at this point. And we're going to be applying for an ARC grant for a 50-50 match, which we just talked about. And the reviewed concept maps of the location, they reviewed the concept maps for the new location of the reservoir. Keysville Booster Station water pressure reduction We discussed that. The paper loggers that we had installed, we just don't feel are showing accurate information. We've asked the Maryland Rural Water for some digital meters, and the BMUC has requested that the mayor and council approve a purchase of digital pressure loggers, and they carried that motion unanimously. I don't have a price. Are we that far yet, Paul?
Which one is this?
The digital pressure.
They've been purchased. We're just waiting for them.
Yeah, it came out to, I want to say $1,800.
Okay, so they weren't near as expensive as what, okay, so, all right, cool. So that purchase has been made. Don't need your help, thanks. The sludge dewatering update, I have to talk to you a bit about this small print. Updated the commission as far as the permitting. That phase is almost over, and we are working with Washington County about the storm management footprint, and we'll get that resolved. The FY24 funding priority packet, which we talked about a little bit already. The reviews for this, for the water and the wastewater infrastructure projects for fiscal year 2024, totaling $12.12 million. The projects include the water distribution system's lead components removal and pipe replacement, the fecal aquifer, contamination and alternate 40 water line looping, the wastewater system pipe replacements, Boonesboro's wastewater treatment lagoon dredging and repurposing, and the Fletcher's Grove well and water treatment plant, and also the Crestview pressure reduction and bypass reservoir replacement. Under the stream restoration project update, that project is going forward and is being funded through the 28 acres of credit that we got by the DNR. Crestview well decommissioning project update. Town has met with the attorney to get an idea of what to do concerning the easement. The goal here is to have the land and the easement conveyed to the HOA. And we do have that in the budget for $80,000, and we'll certainly try to keep that within control. Under new business, we've already talked about the illicit discharge incident that was found through Dan's, discussed it earlier. All the incurring costs are being paid for by Dan's, and as far as we know to the moment, it's been taken care of.
Yeah, we received checks.
I'm sorry?
We received checks.
And paid for. Okay, but no more illicit discharge. I mean, it's all been contained. I mean, we can't be 1,000% sure, but yeah. Okay. The Keedysville flow meter, Boonesboro Keedysville Water Advisory Board recap. It was determined that the meter was running 17,000 gallons minute slow, which would equal 24,500 gallons per day, or 2.2 million per quarter. The reason for the negative loss is the reason for the negative loss in the Keedysville last quarter usage. And they're still looking into ways to maybe enhance the true-up process, but it's not going anywhere. Of course, I think I mentioned this before, that the chairman, Austin Abraham, will be retiring, and the council of advisory board is looking to find a qualified replacement for him. It's going to be very hard. Schaefer Park well replacement bid. The only bid that we received was from Phillips and Son Drilling. It was a total of $256,000 to have drilled 500 feet. Of course, it could be less if we don't have to go that deep. We need to get approval from the mayor and council as soon as possible to keep that project moving forward. There was some discussion about changing from galvanized to stainless steel, and we were looking at pricing for that. And the BNUC has recommend to kick it up to the mayor. and council for approval. Let's see, VMUC council member Ken Eschball, he has dropped out for health concerns. We're looking at possibly making some type of amendment to the charter that would maybe be able to include out-of-town members. That's something that we're considering. We don't seem to have a lot of people stepping up. Pete gave a systems report. He's still waiting on some parts for the one pump at the flow switch at the Keedysville. And on the sewer side, he said that there is a replacement of one of the actuator valves and on the filter and being replaced this week. And some of the diffusion tubes on the SVR, they found some small holes and they're getting some pricing on that. Under the town manager report, we had an update to the commission on the Maple Avenue Chase 6 campus realignment intersection project, which we're all very much aware of. And our next meeting is this Wednesday, the 21st at 6 p.m.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? Hearing on planning? Eric?
Yes, sir. This is a very easy report. We did not meet last cycle. We're scheduled to meet next week. And I'm sure Ally may have something that's happened between the last meeting and our next meeting, maybe in her report, but we did not meet last cycle.
Thank you, sir. Public safety, Mary Lynn.
Public Safety Committee met August 18th. We were supposed to meet last Thursday, the 15th, but that got canceled because of illness. We had one guest, Officer Teddy, because I can't say his last name. That was there.
There you go.
Very good.
Okay. Attended our meeting. There was a request from the Public Safety Commission to request the public inspect signage and replace the needed. I just got a mistake in my minutes. Sorry. At Young Avenue and Reader's Alley. A citizen came and said people are going up Reader's Alley the wrong direction. And their assumption is picking up kids from daycare.
So they need like a do not enter sign?
The Public Safety Commission is just requesting Public Works maybe inspect the signage, replace if needed. Someone said the signage was faded. And maybe the Public Works and the Boonesboro Police Department could give recommendations if additional signage or alternative signage is needed. Or
When we
letters to
did
daycare.
out here,
Yeah.
we just purchased all the signs from Amazon.
So I don't know if you. I'm
Because
just saying
Smart
it's
Sign is the carrier of, they're the ones that make the real signs and they sell on Amazon now. And we just bought a bunch that said.
And I'm sure that's one of the places that the chief just mentioned in just surveillance for topics, because that was, on the list. National Night Out was a good success. Approximately 1,300 people were fed that night. Kim LaBrush was chair and Christy Weaver helped, and Christy was great in she was persistent to get us the helicopter, and Brian Albert really helped make that happen. Did we do the recommendation for Harry Novel to be appointed? Okay, because I think we had a meeting since then, didn't we? Or was it just workshop?
We appointed Harry last.
Yeah, okay, did we do that at workshop? So, and then they wanted to know if there's any way to do any kind of, and maybe you could put that in the newsletter for CPR training or Narcan training, if there's any interest in the town for the safety commission to hold something like that. There's talk about Washington Goes Purple and doing a mission statement. And then back to the crosswalk issue for a lighted, sign at Schaefer Drive and Main Street, Orchard Drive. I don't know if you have any update on that.
I'll reach out to him about the CPR Narcan training.
Yeah, I don't know if there's
how she wants to publicize that, or if,
what, they didn't really come to that conclusion. Then I think I've already brought up about the snow plowing, so. Our next meeting is October 20th.
I couldn't help to notice that with those signs that was, pedestrian signs that was in the middle of the road, people were actually
Yes, they stopped, but it didn't,
actually working.
the chief said we're not allowed to leave them up.
Stay out of the way.
Just only during events. I see we had 2 events back to back, so they allowed us to
Yeah.
leave them up all week. Yeah, they did work very well.
But I think if we got a like sign there, that would, I think it would work. People would stop.
Thank you, Mary Lee. Any questions of Mary Lee? Gray's not here, but I wasn't able to go to the meeting this past last Thursday. I don't know where any of you all went to it or not. How was it?
It was wonderful. It was very well attended. The distillery is pretty cool, actually. I didn't even know it was there. It's like a lost little thing in Boonesboro, outside of Boonesboro. If I knew I was gonna give a report, I would have paid more attention.
Okay.
We got that kind of late. One of the things they talked about is rather than meeting more often, they were gonna splinter into like subcommittees. And their guest speaker was Susan Grimes, who works for the county and administered the Rural Maryland Economic Development Fund grant that we were recently invited to submit full applications for. So, yeah, they did a really nice, the EDC always does a very nice job.
And I think that having the option to go sometime in the evening is a great thing. I mean, it was very well attended.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of people there.
Good. Thank you, sir. Environmental Commission, Terry.
The BDC is recommending the reappointment of Barb Wetzel and Kim Pruitt. Her term expires, I think, October's the last. So
Okay, I'd like to,
Kim Pruitt
and
and
Barbara
Barb
Wetzel.
Wetzel.
I'd like to reappoint them back to the Environmental Commission.
Terry,
Make a motion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to accept both of them.
Yes.
Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Abstained, motion carries.
Let's see, they're looking, they might have to get a cheaper alternative for fence if they don't get the grant they're looking for the community garden. There's gonna be a subcommittee first kickoff meeting tomorrow here at Town Hall about the community garden.
Have they contacted people about the community garden yet?
Yes, they have some interest, yeah.
Brenda, I can't remember Brenda's name, but lives across. No. Brenda lives there on the corner of Stauffer and Dull.
Oh, yes.
She is very, very, very interested, but I can't remember
She lives
Brenda's
at 2
last
Della
name.
Lane.
Yeah, 2 Della
Yes,
Lane. Brenda.
her last name will come.
She helped with the,
Is it Kaufman?
she helped with the flower garden down at the library.
And she talked our.
And she's very, very, she says she filled out
Well, she
application or
filled
whatever,
out
and she
everything.
hadn't heard anything.
Okay, well, there's really, unless she should know about the kickoff tomorrow
Okay,
though.
good.
Let's see, they are going to spend $150 on 20 to 30 milkweeds from Mary Cotton. They're gonna cost $5. They're gonna give them away at the fall tree giveaway. Let's see, they may use 5K to support the GIS, which we just voted on. October 8th is bulk trash pickup. They are gonna take TVs and electronics from 8 to 12.
That's not bulk picked up, you gotta bring it to the park.
Well,
Bulk
bulk
drop-off.
bulk drop-off, yeah. And,
And you must be a resident of Boonesboro.
they're gonna, well, I'm not gonna. Sure, and they're thinking about a living wall down there in that parking lot where the, farmer's market is, to give some shade onto that. But I think some bushes might have to be removed.
Okay.
They'll have to talk to Jeff, I guess, and not all that. That's it, we just met, so I don't even know when our next meeting is, sorry. October 11th.
Thank you, Mary. Anybody have any questions of Terry?
It's good to eat tomorrow down there.
Town planners report, what you got?
We received the site plan for the Ace Hardware and Storage Unit. So that's being reviewed by myself and our engineer. Greg and I will be walking Sycamore Run tomorrow to inspect everything from their punch list. They'll be requesting the bond release and the 1-year maintenance agreement. And then I met with the county and some surrounding towns to update the hazardous mitigation plan for the county. So we had 2 things on their last one. So I was going to get with Greg and Paul and talk about what we might want to include on ours. So that's all I have.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions of Rob?
I do. Where do we stand with getting bids for the comprehensive plan?
I did not receive any.
Didn't receive any bids at all.
Guess we put it back out.
Vibe I got is that we under budgeted.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Oh, town.
We're gonna wait till she comes back.
Yes.
That works.
We just were awarded a $2,200 grant from the Chesapeake Bay Trust to help us out with this year's fall tree giveaway. Combine that with the $2,000 we got from Potomac Edison. And the majority of that project is going to be grant funded. It's probably going to be about 6,000 or 7,000 total. We reduced from 500 to 200 trees this year. We didn't get as much public interest, probably only about 40 or 50 people wanted trees this year. So I think last year, well, for one, we gave out more trees. This year, we only offered 1. But honestly, I think that's kind of what you want. I think we came out real strong year 1, and I think we realized it just wasn't sustainable. Programs like that, you really want to be fun anyway, and for people to enjoy.
So we need to get more trees given away, or did you give away the 200?
Well, the one, we're giving away about 40 or 50, and the remaining trees will end up.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just gonna plant them at the park or something. So, and obviously, all of the trees, private and the public, are all gonna be, you guys just approved the GIS survey. They're all gonna be inventoried and added to our MS4 reporting database and program. So, the Water Resources Development Act, it's federal legislation, passed both the House and the Senate. That was for $5 million for us to for our reservoir. Hopefully, that's going to bridge the gap between what we had grant funding for now and what we need, with the supply chain and with inflation. From what I understand, that should leave Congress and get to the president's desk later this month, and funding should become available around this time next year. But I mean, that's fantastic news. It was really a punch in the gut to find out that after all of that work, we still needed to do more. So very good news there. Next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, will be at the Water Pro Conference. You guys know I'm the vice president on the board for Maryland Rural Water, so I'm going to be down there, obviously representing both Maryland Rural Water and the town. That's, again, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but I'll still be available by phone and checking emails. The Crestview Water Treatment Plant decommissioning, we set up a meeting with the property owner at 402 Potomac. As you guys know, it's in the budget to demolish and decommission the Crestview well, but we really want to get rid of that easement driveway that passes between 2 residences on Brook Ridge Drive. So we're meeting with the owner of 402 Potomac Street and there's already a Potomac Edison easement that passes through his property and that gets used often. We would just like him to also allow the town to use that easement so that we can still get back there to mow one of our stormwater ponds. But it would be really fantastic if we can just, while we're down there demolishing everything, we can also demolish that drive and just put down grass. Forget about that because it comes up and it's an issue now and again. Honestly, it was a bad place to put an easement to begin with. The Downtown Beautification Master Plan, our kickoff design meeting is tomorrow at 10 a.m. We're going to meet first here and look at base maps with Frederick Seibert and Mike Van Fleet from Custom Landscaping, and then we're going to walk the different planting locations. Plan is that once we're at about 60% design, we can have SHA do a cursory review of what we got so far, and then in that way, once the master plan is fully complete, we won't have as many hurdles when it comes to permitting and construction later down the line. But that project exciting nonetheless. Mentioned that you'd also like to consider including the traffic circle as part of that. It is one of the gateways of the town, and SHA seems amenable and actually encouraging of that idea. So we might end up adding that to the scope. The Washington County Community Coalition has started meeting again. The projects that we want to work with them are put forward from the town and include as part of their lobbying efforts. If you guys have anything that you would like to put forward, let me know. So far, I think all of our water and wastewater projects are pretty well covered. So I was going to put the road projects forward instead. The blue sheets, the drafts are due this Wednesday. So just let me know. The Chase 6 Campus Avenue project, we're meeting with the county and Washington County Public Schools this Thursday at 10:30 to figure out the logistics of that land transaction. It's essentially, we're all going to be standing around in a circle, handing each other the same bag of grant funding, but I think I'm hopeful, Howard's going to be there too. I'm hopeful that we're going to get that forward in terms of what that entails. So a lobbyist did meet with Brinkley. One of the topics they discussed was the $200,000 that we requested through MDOT. That project, or that funding also looks good. And Howard, you mentioned that the funding from the county also looks tentatively good.
They match whatever the state gives.
So, that's the easiest project, but it is moving along. Shade Park Path, the design kickoff for that project is this Thursday at 3 p.m. I've let the park board know, everybody who wants to be there, please come. So that project will begin. The drinking water state revolving fund. So the lobbyists took our drinking water, or our water and our wastewater critical projects booklet, started talking to a few appointed and state officials. They did the same thing they always do to me. They said, hey, you know what? Who has a lot of funding for that? MDE. So, of course, this happens year after year. We set up a phone conference with the water quality director, Jeff Fretwell. He said the same thing he always says, which is you guys are over income for our grant funding, but you can get a loan. We already owe MDE and the state millions of dollars. We're not interested in any more loans. After some further discussion, he mentioned that they were going to be adding criteria to their drinking water state revolving fund program, their grant program. And with some further explanation, the criteria is referred to as the Environmental Justice Screening Tool. That tool is being considered for implementation as part of the fiscal year 24 grant program. It has 3 criteria: minority population, English proficiency, and poverty levels. You know, hearing that, the first thing that came to us was like, well, you know, that really does not represent Western Maryland very well. And we already get federal funds because drinking water state MDE funds are all federal funds. We already get and are eligible for ARC funds. So the idea is now to lobby MDE to adopt ARC's criteria as their own, which would make Western Maryland eligible for grant funds. If we can swing that, that's huge, because the EPA is going to be, over the next 5 years, giving MDE hundreds of millions of dollars. Just for scale, for discussion, they're going to be giving MDE $260 million just for lead pipe service line replacement. That doesn't include all the other infrastructure money that MDE is going to be charged with administering. So if you can imagine, we are going to be iced out of that because we're over income. I mean, that's part of my French bullshit.
Because we're being discriminated against.
We are. And so.
Thanks to ARC and Tri-County Council, they're going to draft up a letter. Well,
we have to draft.
We have to draft a letter, but they've
so I reached out
their support towards us to help us get MDE to change some things.
I reached out to the program director for ARC in the state of Maryland, Dave Cotton. He thinks it's a great idea. They're backing us 100%, and he gave us all of the data we need to properly lobby MDE. So that's going to be the next thing we work on. And if you can imagine, you know, the way this thing is going to play out is first we're going to lobby MDE, and then we're going to let all of our elected officials know, and then they're going to hop on that train. So, you know, this is going to be kind of a situation where we have to refuse to say no, because there's just too much money and too much going on and too much at stake here. And MDE is going to have more money than they are reasonably even able to spend if they continue to follow the criteria they have now. So more to come on that, but it's going to start with a letter from Howard, and we're going to copy ARC, and then we're going to get all of our elected officials involved. So
Washington Baltimore get it all. And
Heck, no.
They shouldn't.
No, that's garbage. So,
But they had a contamination down there, so now they're gonna get it all.
But
no, so that's actually a good thing in regards to Boonesboro, not Western Maryland, because the priorities we put forward, you know, lead pipe, lead in our mains, the contaminated aquifer we have on the north end of town. Those things are very similar to the issues they're having in Baltimore. And if you say yes to one, you have to say yes to the other. So it's very possible we're going to end up riding Baltimore's coattails on this one. But that looks really good. So in that regard, it's a good thing. But if they continue to use criteria that doesn't take into effect the issues faced by Western Maryland and any rural area in Maryland that, you know, isn't connected to the I-95 corridor and doesn't have the same economic advantages, then we're going to end up left behind and be in the same place we always are. So, but I really think that this idea is going to work. Work hard to make it happen.
thank you, sir. Anybody got any questions of Paul? Hearing none, and what I'm going to say, I promise it won't take long. I need a motion going into executive session as provided under general provisions, Article 3-305B1, subsection I, to discuss the appointment, employment, assessment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom it has jurisdiction.
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same, abstained, motion carries. Thank you all.